Hi, welcome to Variety Tech Today. Today I'd like to show you Buster Keaton's filmography. Admittedly, in this day and age, this may be a niche interest, but I still find his work hilarious. They're very well put together films that held up, especially compared to other works of the day. And of course, his dry humor and understated comedy just adds to that. Now, it all started out with something that was much more common at that time, theatrical shorts that would precede features. He was given his first big break with Fatty Arbuckle. He would co-star, and he actually made a number of shorts between 1917 and 1920 with him. But then he went out on his own, and between 1920 and 1923 he starred in a number of shorts. Now, a couple of these are lost or partially lost, but there are 32 that remain, and these are all included in the Buster Keaton Shorts collection, 1917 to 1923, which have been restored in high definition. And it includes a bunch of extras, including, interestingly, a couple of alternate endings. Now, overlapping with those short films, he broke into feature films. The first of such was The Saphead. That was in 1920, but it was in 3 years later that he started to make features more regularly. With 1923's Three Ages, which is included in this double feature Blu-ray, and also that same year, later on, Our Hospitality. And we see how interesting the stories become because he jumps around to different time periods. For instance, The Saphead was more contemporary, and Our Hospitality was set in the early to mid 1800s. And then Three Ages, that literally was set in three different ages, such as the cavemen, the Romans. And then in 1924 he made two more movies, Sherlock Jr. and The Navigator. And these both happen to be together on this Buster Keaton collection called Volume 2. You'll notice these are from two different companies. You've got the Kino collection and Cohen Media Group collection. But they're all really good transfers, the best possible, that is. I mean, not all elements are in great condition, but it's still the best possible condition you can get. Scanned in either 2K or 4K and rendered at 1080p. And one other thing that you'll notice is consistent through all is good bonus features. Another interesting thing to note is that in some movies like The Navigator, they recreated what was done historically, which was in some cases colorizing, not colorizing individual elements of the film, but a broad wash of color, for instance, making the whole frame blue or sepia to give a certain mood to various different scenes, and that was recreated for the disc. The last two Buster Keaton silent films were released on Blu-ray, and and it took longer than the others because they were still owned by a major studio. But they licensed it out to the Criterion Collection for So I present to you The Cameraman. And as Criterion does, it's also a unique Blu-ray case, transparent without the logo at the top, higher artwork. And then in 1927 and 1928, you had College and Steamboat Bill Jr., which both made it to this single disc, miraculously. And then, this year that I'm filming this, 2020, finally, the last two Buster Keaton silent films were released on Blu-ray. And it took longer than the others because they were still owned by a major studio. But they licensed it out to the Criterion Collection. So I present to you The Cameraman. And as Criterion does, it's also an excellent, unique Blu-ray case, transparent without the logo at the top, higher artwork, and a booklet, of course. But interestingly enough, this also includes, unadvertised, the the movie that came after this, also remastered in high definition, which would be his last silent film, Spite Marriage. But oddly enough, the latter is listed more as a special feature. So after those two movies that closed out the 20s in 28 and 29, starting in 1930 with Free and Easy, he started to make talkies. These were so far and away removed from his previous films. He was now a supporting character. It didn't have nearly as much of the physical comedy he was known for, or the expressions that told a lot of the comedy in the story. And the films after that were much more concerned with being trendy at the time, which of course does not hold up well. And basically just not as funny, just not the same thing. It doesn't mix with the others in his series. So that is the Haphazard Buster Keaton Blu-ray collection. See ya.